because to charge, we have to go through the town for services, but the fire contract also needs to be.
They do that trust you, so the next week's got that.
Nate, did you talk to, Woody Doors for that?
I did, yeah. Did you talk to them?
Well, I've talked to you recently about stuff. We got to, but I also mentioned that fire contract. He said, no, he said that you had living history. But just you don't have something. But someone said, I said something different, you know.
Right, so.
Not volunteer group anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not, we got to live in our district.
Right.
That's contract.
If we're going to.
You can't bill, we have a contract with the fire district. Fire companies and just can't.
Well, how does the town have a certificate of need, certificate of?
We don't, but they can get it, you need certificate of need, which goes for 2 years, and then it's converted. But it's automatic, like 2 years.
Okay.
So,
Who's giving it up? Okay.
That's also something to do with that. Because it's gonna take,
So now I have no kids.
because the township.
I'm probably that.
I understand. Yeah, we already know that. You just gotta-
If you really wait, Michael say, yes, we can get that.
To be built. $150,000, I understand that the town, that overrides whatever your rules are. Oh, okay, no.
Should have brought in my fortune cookie.
Let's see, I think everything's going. Call the meeting to order. We'll do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen. All right, first item as usual is public comment. And I promise you guys first.
All right, so my name's Aaron. We own the Rainbow Trail Owego. We did the beer tent at the fair 2 years ago, 2019, I believe it was. At that time, all we had to do was submit a letter from the fair board saying that they approved us doing it. Well, we recently received, as of today, a letter from the liquor authority stating that we need permission from the Owego Police Department, the municipality, and the community board, which I believe the municipality and community board are the same, to go ahead and do that. So, I do have a letter if you want to read it. I don't know if anyone. Want to go through here or on that?
Probably around this way. Bring my triple to quote.
I don't know what's changed in the last 2 years.
So it's like when you do it,
Well, not this weekend. Not this weekend.
The way I understand it was 2 years ago when we did it, we got an event permit, which allowed us from the time, the date we started to the day it was over. Now they aren't doing that, it's a 1-day permit. They only allow a 1-day permit for up to 4 days. And then after that, you have to get permission. The reason I think they're doing it is they charge per day rather than for one. So now it's a daily, every day we're gonna have a new license I have to hang up, put in place.
Who's charging you?
It would be the state liquor authority is the one that's requesting all this.
Okay.
Okay.
you're gonna need a letter from us and then a letter from the police department.
Yes. And the way I understand, I don't know when they say municipality community board, I know that when you get down in the cities, like Manhattan, I know that they have boroughs, they have community boards, they have municipality boards. So I'm not exactly sure what the liquor authority is asking for there. I mean, to me, I think the community board and municipality is the same thing.
Yeah, we just have the village board here.
Yeah.
We'll give it to our friend the water and figure out what they need.
Well, in our discussion about a year and a half ago, we were talking about allowing people to have liquor over at the park or whatever, or, you know, alcohol. That is the decision of the board, right? Or is it?
We still need a liquor license if you're gonna sell it.
It would actually be just a beer and wine, as long as there's no liquor involved, so it's beer and wine, and so it's mainly just beer, but draft.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
alcohol.
yeah.
That's more the selling of it, right? Because they're gonna operate beer tents.
It's not pertinent to this. This is state liquor authority allowing them to have their licenses. So our thing that we passed has nothing to do with this. The fair always had the ability to have liquor there with state liquor authority.
Okay.
So Nate just looked at, you want to talk about this one or no?
Yeah.
Nate just looked at this, and the letter says that name three entities, we don't have a community board entity. It also says we need two letters. Whether or not they could be combined into one letter, I don't know, but it says a letter of support and a letter of no objection. And and these guys need this right now. I don't know who's gonna make this letter, but I would assume that whether or not we need particulars, and if we do, we have the particulars for the time, the days and the times that this will happen. That needs to be in this letter right now. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the
Because
letter doesn't say it, and we're not the ones who applied, so I can't tell you specifically.
They're being fussy, so I'm just thinking that the more things that we put in this letter, the more we don't get.
Well, you also don't want to get overly bogged down because your letter of support or no objection contradicts the information in any detail, then
Yeah.
they might kick it back. So I can see it being a simple, the
This
village
is-
of Owego has no objection to the
Right, that's what I'm
local
thinking.
police department.
This isn't simple. These guys are being not very friendly.
We've done it before, and we've never had to do this before. Oh.
I think insofar as the village board passes a motion as authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit a letter of support, the details of the letter itself.
We also need one from the Owego Police Department too, also, which would be, I mean, but I'm just saying, so, as long as.
Is it cheaper out to sign a letter?
Yeah, he'll be around Wednesday.
I believe Stacy's already talked to him, he didn't see a problem with it, so,
Yeah, I told her to give them a call.
yeah.
Do you want to do action in the middle of the public comment or?
Yeah, we can, just because I told them to steal.
So I'm going to make a motion that the village board approves and requests the mayor to send a letter to, actually, we don't send the letter to the liquor authority, we give the letter to the Rainbow, and they have to submit it ourselves, so that we draft a letter of support and a letter of no objection for the Rainbow Trail to have their license at the Tioga County Fair. If you want to put the dates and times in it, I'm speaking of no motion, but if you want to put the dates and times in, yes or no, whatever.
Right, 4 through the 10.
And that he directs the police chief to do the same. Got that right?
Did you second that?
I'll second it. You have us, who's doing the security? Checking the IDs and stuff
Oh, we
like
do
that?
have-
Would you have-
We do have someone checking ID, yes.
So the police aren't asked to do any of that?
No,
Okay.
we haven't asked them anyways, I mean, it's not that far out of the road to do it. When we did it 2 years ago, we just have one way in, one way out. It's an entrance and exit, and we just have someone sitting there. And the only way you can purchase a beer is to buy a ticket, and the only way you get a ticket is to actually show your ID. So,
So the police don't need to do anything other than say that,
Police don't show up.
Yeah.
it's not that busy as far as people coming and going here. So.
Is there any, I don't know, I'm not familiar with it. Is there any issues with open containers at the fair?
We can't, to the best of my knowledge, unless the fair board or the village gave us permission to have open container, they have to stay within the confined area that the alcohol is sold.
I couldn't remember, I didn't remember people
Yeah,
walking
no.
around it.
I mean, I don't know who to ask for open containers, we didn't do it.
And that would be a separate issue. We
Yeah.
could allow open containers in the fairgrounds, but we couldn't allow the liquor license of these gentlemen to have those open containers. Or let them leave with it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, any other discussion on that? Rusty?
Can we vote first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And yes.
So we voted for you to write a letter.
For me to write a letter, yeah.
Sorry about that.
We voted for you to do a lot.
Was it like usual?
Do you need to keep a copy of that? I'm sure she can print another one out, it's on her email, so.
Yeah.
If you want that, the only thing would be, I don't know if her email's on her, S323 at AOL.
It is.
Okay, it is, then that's where it goes to, and then she'll submit it,
Okay.
and then,
You're on tomorrow?
can be, if I'm not, I'm gonna be working in Binghamton, but she can be around anytime you need her to tomorrow.
Somebody will get you.
Yeah.
Right, will make a copy of it.
Yeah, she'll be around, she's actually working over there, so,
Okay. Yeah, I'll get it for you.
yeah, she'll be there most of the day.
She has my phone number now, too, so.
There shouldn't be, I'm sure it's all right.
Say that. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
All right, public comment, anybody else?
Yes.
Nice to see Mike back.
Yeah.
Say something, Mike.
How you feeling?
I'm just glad it's live again.
We're live,
Yeah.
yeah. In person.
Can I do the, John is here. He was with the cemetery committee, but he's also here representing the museum.
Yep.
This MOA, which is,
Historical Society, MOA.
and what it is, we have in our old safe, which is not very secure and it's not very safe, actually. We have these books go back a couple hundred years and we want to I went to the museum, they showed us they have an upstairs place, all lock and key, video camera, above the flood zone, everything like that. Special drawers for all that stuff, and we'd like to have them take our older books and have them on, like permanent loan, but, like this new one. So, yeah, did you look at that one?
The actual book.
Yeah.
So I plan on reading that
It's
later.
quite the thing. Well, just show that to Nate. You have to, you have to.
So wait,
You have to look through
we're
that.
gonna say, why don't you do minutes like this?
I already said that. Poor Ron, the cheat too, got the choice.
So, I mean, they're just sitting in our safe, but if they're at their place, and their ultimate goal is to put them all on microfiche or something like that, so they'll eventually be available to the public to look at without going through the actual books.
There's, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There's other stuff in the vault over there that we've talked about. There's, old assessment records, land assessment. They go way back. And basically everything in there needs to be digitalized. And Rod and I, we talked about maybe the museum and the village going in together on a grant to try and buy the equipment that would be accessible to both the village and the museum. There's tons of other stuff in there. Our goal is to get it to inventory it all, to know exactly what's there. There's scrapbooks, there's all kinds of stuff in there. And I know Chief Kennedy mentioned just that he wants it out of there. So the building is fireproof. The cabinets are locked. They're not open to the public. They can be, if somebody asks, then we can get it from the cabinets. But
Right.
there's old receipts from the 1910s, 1920s in there. And I think they're from people paid their fine or something. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And we'd be willing to go through it all, categorize it all. Permanent loan, it's kind of like the chandelier in the fire department. It was given to the museum back in the 60s as a permanent loan. And then a few years back, somebody tried to, oh, you know, that's ours actually, and blah, blah, blah. We had come up with the paperwork, but, I'm looking forward to it. You guys know, I'm a police historian, and it's a wealth of treasure, man. It's amazing. So, whatever time frame is good.
Well, I just think the museum's the right place for this to be, instead of in a custodial vault, but it's not really lockable, people coming and going, I don't know, I don't have access to it.
I think it's a lot safer than the museum.
I remember.
We'd already voted on this before, didn't
No, we just gave one book.
Right, that was some other stuff, I think.
I was gonna say, I thought I remembered an MOA a year or two ago, because I mean, ultimately, the village does have to retain custody and control of it. It is
Yes.
a-
Yes. And there was a letter that Scott McDonald, our director, wrote up. I think it's like a 5-year thing, and after 5 years, we can decide whether if you guys have someplace that's, or, you know, more secure or whatever, we can just continue on with it. And it's upstairs, it's locked up, it's out of the flood zone. And,
Is that the potential NOI that you had before?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
potential NOI?
I gave everybody a copy.
Still have it.
Peter Gordon, who's a historian for the town of Owego, he said that the town has some of the village records over there. You know, so they need to be brought together too, in the museum.
Are these extra copies? for-
Yeah, okay, yeah, actually, just I think it would be.
And I think it's a good opportunity, a partnership with the village and the museum for further projects. You know, it's just, it benefits both of us.
Like I said, but your idea of getting them like digitized so that somebody, online today, they can go through and look at the whole book.
Yeah.
Without actually getting it.
Without actually touching the book.
That's my goal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I think once you see what's in there and what we can do, it's, like I said, there's a lot more than just the meeting minutes. So,
Thanks.
So is this something we need to vote on, this memorandum?
I think so.
Are we prepared to give the attorney to look it over? Do we need
Yeah, I just don't remember because I remember we looked at something like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember if this is the exact same one or not.
no, that one was just written up just recently.
What was the one? I mean, I would say the version that we used for the one book would be
I can't recall off the top of my head, actually. But that would obviously be, I guess, grandfathered, is that what? That book would be part of, that book will stay exactly where this stuff is gonna be.
Yeah, so my only point is, I know I looked at the agreement previously. I would say let's use that agreement form for these other
We could do
books.
You can do that.
Yeah,
Yes, I know we voted on it.
yeah, and it's just because there's a lot of good things in that. I just can't say that I've looked at this one specifically, but I know I looked at the other one.
Right, Rusty?
So my recommendation is that we don't pass this tonight, we have our attorney look at it, look at the other one, and,
Yeah, I thought it shouldn't be any problem pulling the other form, getting it
I
tweaked.
would prefer that we did that, but rather than just say, oh, yeah, we did this.
Is that all right? So we'll do the next meeting, we'll get the.
Yeah, see if you can find it. It's been a couple of years for us.
Well, it should be in the clerk's office.
Oh, yeah.
Should be.
Okay.
In one of these books.
You put it up. We've set it.
Yeah.
We know where.
Okay, maybe it's under museum, yeah. All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let's see. The guy out there you brought up. The guy out there you brought up.
Yep.
Okay.
He's, this is Gavin
Ratcliffe, yep.
He's one of our summer associates. His last day with us this summer is going back to school for us. It was on Friday, and I was like, come along to the meeting.
Yeah.
See, See how crazy we get.
That's right.
So how do you call it, an island?
I say the best for last.
And all night meeting. You can't get any better than that.
Okay. You know, Mayor, I meant to say, did you notice these meetings were 10 minutes?
I was thinking about an executive, session.
All right, let's do department head reports. Robin, what you got?
What do I got? Well, we have done 942 calls for the year. We had 123 calls for the month of July. We had a long delay on getting the license and registration for the new rate. That's finally in place. Now we have to wait for the state to inspect. So that's put us behind, needless to say. Also, I have a letter here from Linda for the village, Linda Van Dusen. As you know, she resigned as full-time. She has expressed an interest in continuing as part-time employee, per diem, however you want to phrase it. We call them per diem, I don't know what you guys call it. For the squad, that means that she would be available. Her day off where she's working now is Fridays, so that limits her to Fridays, but she is putting in a request to remain on as part-time, so we need to make, like job description or whatever you want to do it, to then bring her in as part-time. Because, it's not gonna be the same as it was,
Right, so we're filling for vacations or.
as long as it falls on a Friday. So, like I suggested before, that we should have another per diem to pull from. We requested a list. We got a list of BLS providers, which is basic life support. That is not what we asked for. We asked for advanced life support and or paramedics. So far, there's only been one guy brought to our attention until the rest of the list is put together. I don't know when they plan on setting up the interview. I do know the gentleman. I've met him on calls. He runs the union. But other than that, I don't know anything about the gentleman yet. So I don't know what the process is or who's in charge of setting up the interview. So, but anyway, here's Linda's letter requesting to stay on as part-time.
Okay. I don't know, civil service wise, what would you do with that? Great position.
I will always say contact civil service to just make sure they don't have any issue with creating a part-time position. They probably use basically the existing, well, they probably use the existing job duties description for the equivalent, but it's just a part-time position. They might not even create one necessarily specific to that because it's part-time.
But she's currently being paid by the hour?
Not anymore.
Well, she has been.
Yeah, she's always been by the hour.
So,
So whatever her rate was, we could stay at that rate.
Sure. We could set whatever rate we chose.
Well, keeping her at that rate is the going rate anyway, that she's at, so.
I don't know what she's been paid.
This gentleman is on the ALS list and the BLS list.
No, he wasn't. He's only on the ALS. This was one that Cindy had said was already on the last one or something from before, so she knew that he was, so they had to contact him and see if he was still.
I'm just wondering, do we still have interview place wise, I suppose, when we placed on the list or?
Yeah.
And if that list fluctuated from when the last one was, we in
So,
jeopardy or something?
no, the way like a civil service list works is they hold a test, and then either if there's less than 3 people who pass the test, then there is no certified list you can hire anyone. If there's at least 3 people who pass the test, then they certify a list, and then however many people pass the test will then be on that list, ranked in order based on how they scored. You have to offer the job to somebody in the top 3. If they decline, then you can move down the list. If this is the only person left on the list, then it's still a valid list potentially from the last time, but it sounds like they're potentially scheduling a new test to be taken. So you could choose to hire him because he's on the last list up until the time that they certify the list.
because
Yeah, the thing is, Linda has already left this full time, and she's not,
yeah, she's done, right now, I did change, Sonia's hours. I tweaked them a little bit because of the fact that we only have one provider, so. And,
Could you tell us what that is?
well, right now, she's working 8 till 6.
Monday through Friday?
Yes, and that's a long time, and I would rather, we do this as soon as possible.
I hate to jump on the other guy because he's the other guy here. It's not gonna-
And we won't, because, like I told Fran, I said I do happen to know people that work over there, and you guys the information that I heard.
Trustee?
So Linda's done now, completely gone.
She's not running any calls right now, she's using up her time that she had left, so she's officially done on the 6th.
using up
Vacation.
Vacation time.
Which she does. Is she prepared to start immediately on Fridays?
Those are her dates, that's her day. She has-
Yeah, but I understand that, and that's the only issue work, but I just want to know when she's prepared to start doing it.
Well, she can do it as soon as we need it,
Okay.
it's just a matter of we have to get the things in a row that she needs to know first.
Can you tell me do you know what her hourly rate is right this moment?
22.
You can't hear, it's
22.
not a secret, it's public.
22.
Okay.
But she was supposed to get bumped up to 23 in the beginning of the fiscal year, so I don't know what they finalized her at, but that was 22 that I knew.
Okay. Do we want to hire her part-time, starting particular time for Fridays? Obviously, when we get a good full-time person, that may no longer be necessary. Do we want to do that in the interim?
Doesn't hurt.
So I think the discussion, I mean, she might only say, I'm part-time, I'm only willing to work Fridays, but don't hire her as a part-timer just for Fridays, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hire a part-timer.
part-time, yeah.
And if you.
So much an hour.
Yeah, and if you find out that maybe Saturday evenings, you're not getting crew fully staffed, you say to her, hey, you mind working Saturday evenings?
Yes.
Or maybe she can do it once a month, I don't know what, but give more flexibility.
Yep, exactly.
so part-time would be under how many hours?
Technically under 19 and a half.
Under 19 and a half. So that would be the max.
Civil service. Yeah.
That should be fine. That's probably should be okay, full-time job.
Right.
Well, I make a motion that we hire Linda Van Dusen part-time as the chief manager to fill in.
Rate of pay.
Pardon?
What would her rate of pay be?
It's the same pay that she's got now. Rod, you probably know more than I do, I think it's 22, I'm pretty sure.
Is that your motion, 22?
I don't know if any-
But I think, just to clarify, it's at whatever her rate of pay is, I don't think 22 should be in the motion, because if it's off, if it's not
Her
22.
current rate.
Yeah, her current rate of pay, yeah.
Okay.
She's still technically still here.
More comfortable living on the, but that's okay.
Well, I guess your current rate is a number we spoke.
Current rate changed as of first.
Right.
If it jumped up $30, which I don't think it did, but I can't see paying that for 6 days.
Yeah, I think it went up.
A dollar, yeah. So put it at 23. Is that a number you could, we'll just put a direct number?
It's gotta
We're
be
actually
more-
discussing in the middle of the
Yeah, yeah,
motion, so
yeah.
let her,
There wasn't, did somebody second that motion?
well, we wanted you to finish the pieces of it.
Whatever the 23.
Okay, hire her at a rate of $23 an hour as a part-timer to fill in as the chief needs for her.
Okay.
Wait for a second.
I'll second.
Trustee?
The this sounds fine to me, other than the thing that I'm not necessarily comfortable with would be that we have an expansion of other times and days when we don't normally pay someone. So even though they said, oh, but maybe on Saturday night, blah, 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 I don't want this to turn into a, oh, now we're gonna pay somebody for Saturdays because we feel like an hour on Sunday. I don't think I agree. I don't think I like that word.
So, one of the things that, I don't know if the budget includes this, but, so you've got your full-time staff line item for wages, and then you could create a part-time staff line item for wages. And then if, the part-timer gets paid out of that budget line item, if that budget line item runs out, then doesn't fully address what your concern is, but I'm just trying to think of a way to reflect that and keep track of how much part-time work is being done.
We don't really. Well, yeah, I mean, they have time for
At least there's some kind of paper trail track part-time.
Yeah.
Just leave it as needed.
The department has to schedule who's when.
So I'm going to ask that we amend that motion to, the part-time hours are as needed, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 p.m. Does that work?
So what happens if she works after 6? What if there's a call like 5:30 and they get back at 7?
Well, what happens?
We pay her, we don't worry about
They get over.
it. The same thing that happens now.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how that works, if it's over 8 hours or 5 hours.
Well, so maybe you say for a shift scheduled between 8 and, we don't have time with 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. So if you end up staying later, or shift is scheduled for, whatever.
You're okay with that?
Yes.
Wait a second.
Can we leave that as between 6 and 8, or between 6 and 6? 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. because the original coverage was 6 p to 6 to 6 a to 6 p. That's where our spectrum was covered. So that way, if it's only needed for a couple hours, then we can pick from that time.
So I'm at my amendment, I do withdraw that amendment, which didn't get seconded. And it's going to say that the part-time hours, as needed by the chief, are between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's what I want to say. No more talking about it. Somebody want a second?
I'll second that.
Does that work with your name?
Well, I guess I'm just thinking from a procedural perspective, there was a motion and a second. And now you're saying you're asking the people who moved originally to amend their motion, or you were making.
I'm making the amendment.
Well, you're now moving to amend their motion, which means we would need a vote to. I think just for minutes purposes, asking Fran to amend her motion
Withdraw the original motion.
or withdraw the original motion.
Fine. Whatever.
Would you like to amend your-
Why don't we just start off?
Okay,
Okay, let's start over.
Make a motion.
all right. I suggest we hire Linda Van Duzen as part-time as needed by the chief, Mondays through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Did I say by
$3 an hour.
$23 an hour?
Second it.
Okay.
Let's make that quick.
Discussion on that. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And yes.
So sorry, I caused such grief. Okay, I'm done. I heard Chinese food waiting for me, so I have to.
All right. What's your vote for?
10 minutes.
3?
Referendum, right?
Right. Couple of days.
No, hey guys, thank you for allowing me to make an agreement with the mayor on the pavilion. Marvin Park, worked very hard, put new asphalt down today. The roof is straight, it's got all braided beams all the way through it. It's a very safe pavilion. Hopefully by the end of the week, it'll be completed, so thank you. Be in memory of Matt Curry, so it'll be a nice memorial place.
It looks nice, we haven't driven by it, take a trip.
Okay, so what was the final agreement?
Yeah, that's-
I don't have a look at this.
Well,
Would you make some copies of that for?
Yeah,
for everybody?
we'll get it.
Would you make some copies of that agreement for the board?
Yeah.
well, one reason why I'm asking is, I was going to, ask for a change in the minutes. Because what we had discussed is that, the, fire, as 2 weeks ago, the fire department would have first dibs on use of that structure. But it's still, in the hands of the village if we decide to allow somebody else to use it when the fire department isn't.
Okay, we'll have to see the agreement with that.
Yeah, that's why I asked what the agreement is,
We're gonna get a copy.
because I mean, we didn't, what we had said before is that, it would still be controlled by the village.
Yeah, it's the whole park is.
Right.
Other than that,
And it's not a pavilion that we rent out now anyway, so it's not like it's one that we use per se.
And I just, the last little piece, well, take this and that is, if we didn't do this, there wouldn't be.
Yeah,
It would fall down into the cracks, so,
Yeah.
whatever, I'm just saying, so, this is a good thing, okay. We'll get a
Oh,
copy.
yeah, no,
I need a copy
I
of the agreement.
appreciate everything. Department is done, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's nice.
those nice ones.
You guys have a lot of good volunteers.
Have a long, I just left there for you.
Already looks a lot better. The whole park does actually.
Kidding?
Yes, and across the tail.
Going back there? You don't have anything?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Let's see. All the department heads, Jeff can't be here. Second vote. Get some stuff from, yeah. Jeff reports that all of our lifeguards go back to college. We have no lifeguards after August 21st. So normally we stay open until Labor Day. As of August 21st, which is like 2 weeks, we have no more lifeguards. It's plausible.
Don't see any options.
No, I mean, we can't go without lifeguards.
Have you, I'm just trying to think of like, have you maybe tried reaching out to like Binghamton University to see if their swim program has bodies? I don't know, I mean,
We can try.
or
Or they have money to pay them, they just don't have
Yeah,
bodies.
bodies, right?
Even if we could just do something on the weekends, keep it open another 2 weekends.
Yeah, or even, like, I don't know about the high school, but like, maybe the swim team there might have some 18, 17, 18-year-olds that could fill in and, okay.
And then, we have one of our full-time DPW guys who went out on knee surgery on the 17th. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. So,
Every shit's that there.
yeah. So, let's update with Jeff. And did you hear from Joe?
Yes, I think what all we have right now, we do have the bump in the budget there. We'll do that.
Yeah, well,
Keep going.
here we go. It's gonna be about this.
Yep, and now,
Yeah,
move to approve bumping the budget by $2,000 for a grant received by Mildred Faulkner Truman Foundation to purchase new radios and repair portable radios. Line items are on the sheet. Gift for donations to police equipment, yes, I know.
I think you only have two of them on one sheet.
You want to do it at the same time?
Yeah,
Then I got the other one, I'll read it.
okay.
So we're gonna do two at once, not do them separately?
Okay.
Okay, and approve the following pay applications for contractors working on the new DPW building at 20 Elm Street. Edgar, $98,030.50. Melcorp, $9,238.75. Slavic, $13,414, no cents. And Petkoski, $10,473.75.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lord. Arm wrestle?
Any discussions on those? That grant's good, we think those guys need some new radio equipment, listen to the scanner and whatnot. For some reason, I can hear them, but the county can't. Let's vote on the Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
and yes. And that other motion, that project to settle the difference of the sewer plant projects. We didn't have to approve all of those, but that's normal stuff that they discuss.
For the, this project.
Yeah, true, this is funded by, two grants, whatever requires that. Do you have anything else from Joe?
So she bought a new computer. I was checking to see about like if we could get reimbursed for that under that grant the county. So hold on, let me see what he said.
You're talking about that new grant for 600 million?
Yeah, so in the minutes last time, there was a question about how much the grant was for. So the total grant from the county is about $123,000.
What was that?
Our shared services grant that we agreed with the county last meeting. It's for IT equipment, phones, computers.
I didn't hear the figure that's all.
Okay, so it's a whole grant, the whole county is $123,000, but Owego's portion is about $85,000 to $95,000 of it, so it's a significant portion. So what it's gonna do is gonna put fiber optic cables and, pay for,
A whole bunch of stuff.
yeah, equipment, computers and all that stuff, and so,
And the labor, yeah.
yeah, installing it, putting it in, and so, he doesn't know about the chief's computer, about if that would be reimbursed, because he's already paid for it, and doesn't know,
Yes, I think
specifically for that one.
I think the computer you're talking about is, because of some systems the chief has to have access to, he needed an official email address, other than just like Hotmail and whatever we all use. So we bought an email server, and it's getting set up by Pyramid. And we're gonna add emails, whatever, at villageofowego.ny.gov. And we're gonna switch our webpage to villageofowego.ny.gov.
All the trustees are gonna
Very nice. That was for for the whole village, for.
Yeah,
That's
everybody's gonna
nice.
get official email.
as they select them.
Yeah, we can use some Hotmail and.
And our webpage will no longer be .com will work, and we'll get you the same place, but we're gonna do it now, after all this paperwork we did with Pyramid and some government place. We own Village of Owego, New York.gov. It's free, we just had to like fill out all these forms and write
That was the
letters.
exciting part of the meeting.
Yeah, that was exciting.
All right.
I don't have, but that email server was like a decent amount of money.
I don't know if that was it, because said it was just like a personal, like a
He did,
computer, and it didn't cost all that much.
he did last year, kind of update all the computers in the office too, through that money he had in the budget.
Well, as we get that money, we'll see what's covered, and then we'll find out whether we can do that.
Yeah,
But we don't know that.
I just didn't know if he was using up his budget, or, we're at the end of it, right?
Right.
You should get that covered.
Well, we're past the end of it now. But yeah,
In a new year.
we're in a new year. Sure. Every month.
We got through that.
Yeah, okay.
Second day of the
We're both already.
yeah, second day of the new year.
You got any raises?
And hope everybody got their tax bill.
What's
Yeah, I
that?
got the tax
Get
bill.
get your tax bill.
Oh, I work in the mailbox. I don't want
Good job.
to. Anything else from the police?
I think we're great.
Oh, I can't remember right now if I could do a terminator.
I don't remember. But yeah, that's the reason for the email. He needs access to some sort of system and they won't give it to him with a regular email.
It's kind of, dinosaur, everybody's had in there, have a compromised person in official business, right?
You got anything?
No, other than been busy, it's just tax season starts. Send everybody out.
The judge sent us a letter. He's interested in moving from where he's at to our old building, meaning the clerk's office, once we vacate that. The problem that I have with that is when we looked at putting him in the new building, if we touch where he's at, we have to abide by all the new codes, and there's not enough space. Because he needs attorney-client rooms, breakout rooms, it becomes expensive. But if we don't touch him, he's grandfathered in where he's at. If we move him, we have to upgrade to all the new codes.
Does, and I think I know the answer to this, the answer is we don't know, but I'm wondering if the Office of Court Administration has grant funding available for renovation of like local village and town courts. I mean, that would be like an obvious place to look for grants. I don't know if anyone is.
Well, and that was his letter, was he would be open to apply to that. If we were,
30,000.
so, I don't know how much it is, it's gonna be a lot more than that.
So the judge was considering applying for some monies and potentially for the offices he's in. But if he was going to move, the money will be, according to him, specific for a building. So if he's going to move, he wanted to apply for that money for the place he's going to go. So if he doesn't move, he will, I believe, if I've got it right from him, he will apply for where he is.
I just don't think the old clerk's office would be big enough space.
If space is the thing, it won't matter about renovation.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
it's-
the cost of it would probably be beyond what the grant would support anyway. But, I mean, regardless of which way you go, I think having him apply for the grant, great idea.
Well, we do have to have a place that he's going to apply for.
So I guess the question would be to move forward then, if the judge would like to move, conceptually, if there was space, are you open to the court being relocated over there?
I mean, it would make a handicap accessible, which means it's not, there's enough space.
That becomes
Well,
problematic too, because the first floor is the only place that's handicapped. So once we're talking space, that first floor, if you're looking how much room's there, there's not hardly any. There wouldn't be room for a courtroom on the first floor. There's just simply not room.
Why wouldn't it be? I mean, you take out the wall there to the conference room. Where the kitchenette area is could be used for, client consulting. You've got the small office there that the mayor, is mayor's office now. The judge could always have his, office up on the second floor.
I'm just going by what the mayor said about, we couldn't do it over here because this wouldn't be big enough, and this is twice as big as over there. So I'm just going by what he said.
No, the reason they needed more rooms for client consultation and
Right.
holding, a room for holding, persons that are coming into the court.
Yeah, but I say, if we put them in that other room, we have to have those rooms also.
Right, as soon as we move them, we have to have one.
So we don't
Yeah.
have a police station, do we need to have security out at the courthouse? Or how does that work?
That was the other issue, is there was security things, right? So once you move them, you have to come up to all the new codes. You have to have bulletproof windows, stuff. We don't have
We
to.
need a balance or something.
Yeah, so right now that works by when there's court, the police send somebody up there, runs the metal detector or whatever they do.
Yeah, there's, I mean, I'm just looking up very quickly to see his requirements for the design, and like the courtroom itself needs to be, I guess, apparently ready to accommodate a 16-person jury plus 20 people sitting in the audience. Just the room itself for where the trials potentially take place, and then you add in all the extra conference rooms and the prisoner holding area. You need 2 entrances, minimum 2 entrances and 2 exits. Yeah, that building's probably not going to come in.
That was the issue we had up here.
Because I would love to have them in this building, and if we just stuff a DPW in their little corner, there's still might not be enough room in that. Three-quarters of that building for the judge.
That was the issue we ran into. And then you have to add a whole bunch of safety stuff. Because you've got prisoners and you've got.
How about all the big guys moving to the caps court? And they didn't have to do all that in this building anymore.
So the way that
I
works,
didn't know you even had a jury.
yeah,
Yeah.
it works oddly. So the caps court is just arraignment, but then they come back to the village court for actual sentencing. You could probably explain it better than me.
Well, that's the thing, I don't know where I.
Ask Gavin, he'll be doing
I'll
it.
say, you're going to run over again.
Sorry?
Did you have any experience with that yet?
He does whatever we tell him.
Oh,
I'll be hoping.
at least that was my understanding of it, is they go to caps court for arraignment, but then they eventually do come back to village court on a regularly scheduled court date. The caps court is just so the judge doesn't get called out at 3 in the morning to arraign somebody.
So, I mean, one of the things that I know we always we want to be sensitive of, is just not saying no to the judge for a reason. I mean, the reason right now is it seems like it's going to be too small. Do you want to ask Hunt or Delta to just take a quick look and give an opinion about whether the building could reasonably be used for, adapted to accommodate a court? And then when you talk to the judge, it's not just, we don't think it will fit, we talk to somebody.
Right, we looked into it, I guess.
Yeah, I think you guys said that the infrastructure already exists, it won't be a change in the cost. I think it would change the building.
Where do we get the money to pay for this consultation? Delta or whoever?
I guess we have to figure out how much it's gonna be first start. Right, how much is,
They might just do like an estimate. I mean, they're often willing to come out and give a ballpark idea of whether something's feasible.
we're not asking for detailed plans, like just tell us if this is even possible.
And these are also things assuming, all this is assuming that, oh yeah, we want to do that, we don't know even if we want to do that.
Well, if we do, we should have a backup as to why.
Right.
Specifics from a professional engineering firm, no, it's not big enough in our field, or.
Yeah, no, I think
We
we
can at least
should,
make an educated decision.
I like that idea.
yeah, I agree, I think we need to investigate further.
Personally, it's a good idea for me, but.
Anyways, we're certainly not prepared at this moment to make any decision like that.
No, besides, like I said, we can talk to Hunt or whoever we want to, and see if it's,
Some kind of.
Remotely.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a date for the grant in that letter?
Grant needs to be filed or requested before August 31st, so,
So we have to figure it out by the next meeting.
right.
For, if we're going to do that, and we also should be thinking about them going out for a grant for replacing them.
Yeah, no, either way you should apply, it's just which building.
Well, as long as you read that part, it's part, yes, sir.
The rest of it.
He's telling you what he wants.
Well, should the board decide not to support this group, perhaps you could, at minimum, make a decision on providing rear egress fire escape.
Yeah, there's only one entrance into the port, right?
Right,
There are 2 stairwells.
There's 2 stairwells.
right. car, yeah. There's a front one when it goes down into the police station. I don't know.
Does the public go through the police station to get up there?
No,
So there really is only one entrance.
There is an entrance, there is an entrance.
Public entrance.
so there also is concern about only one egress at the front of the building, presently no rear egress or fire escape.
And of course,
So
another,
there is a second set of stairs.
Yeah.
Let's see.
and of course, another, there's lots of thoughts, but if by chance we were to get a $600,000 grant for that building, elevator,
Yeah,
it's certainly, they do a lot of things.
Elevators are a lot of money.
they are.
They are, although we were gonna, the fire station was gonna be about $100,000, and, I mean, I'm not saying that there's nothing, but it wasn't gonna be $500,000.
Well, the library.
Yeah,
They did, they did like a whole addition.
There's this kind of thing.
I would just see a courts elevator. I would be special.
It's got
Just kind of.
Bulletproof or something?
Yeah, so
got a
something, I
whole-
don't know, but that's the type of thing, but you're right, maybe we're equal to 600 still.
anyway, that's just
Okay,
more
so-
thoughts.
So who should do the investigating on the adaptability of the building?
I can talk to him tonight. Just let him get it in.
Let me get my list here.
Yeah, you're making
things
things
here.
Send that to me later.
Just really working out, we need to have some kind of plan for backup egress for the secondary.
I guess we can look into that, because there is a second stairwell that goes down into the police station.
I don't know if that meets current standard, I have no
I
idea.
don't know either.
I know there have to be at least 2 paths of egress from each.
Right.
You could just.
We got our police historian over there.
If you don't mind me throwing in my 2 cents worth, you know, the history of that building really needs to be preserved.
Yeah.
Being that's been the sheriff, that was the sheriff's department, the original sheriff's department back in the 1850s on up.
There was a school board meeting too.
The school board, yeah, but in the 1860, that was the sheriff's. You know, the jail was right there, they had the outhouse on the backside. I'd just like to see, you know, I don't want to, no offense, but no hemp shop or nothing, but it really has to preserve the history of that building.
Makes me wonder if there's some historical credits or grants that could be applied for. I mean, then you're committing to keeping it historical.
Which building are you talking about?
The clerk's office.
Oh, the clerk's office.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about
That's like the police.
The one
Yeah,
above.
your office, yeah.
Well, if we don't use it, then we have to give up the lease, right? Goes back to the
No,
previous owner?
no. We might have to pay them back, because they fronted some money to the village. I think it was like 31,000. Yeah, it might be an agreement that if we ever get rid of it, we have to pay it back. 31,000. We'll solve it in one day.
I thought we couldn't sell it.
No, I think we can sell it. If we do, we gotta pay it back. We gotta pay it back. That's for another day.
We're gonna look at a lot of options for that building, and it's for another day.
The question right now is, can we fit a court there? Which
That's one of the options. There are other ones.
the gut feels doesn't know, but I can ask Pump to say, they know all the rules about courts, and whatever.
The other thing that occurs to me too is it's in the floodplain.
Yeah.
So probably OCA wouldn't give money to renovate a building that's in the floodplain without significant flood, you know, I mean, elevating the building, which would be really silly. And
Well, did the building flood,
Had about 6-7 feet in the basement.
but it didn't have any on the first floor?
No.
no, not here nor there for being in the
That's
floodplain.
that, you're doing the floodplain, it doesn't matter. Never did flood. It's whether it's in.
So I guess that'd be another question to ask Hunt, like, they have any experience with OCA court, where really was
In the floodplain.
that just might shut it down right there.
Yeah. I guess we'll give it to him on that. Let's see. And I'll investigate this whole second egress thing, because of what he wants.
So,
Rusty, you want to investigate?
so no, yeah, sure, but, I just want to get a sense of the board, if that option is not something that we want or find viable, do we kind of want to have a sense that we would be prepared to tell the judge we have permission to go for the grant for the existing building?
I would think so. That's just my feeling.
Grant is good regardless of what way it's in.
What?
A grant is good regardless of what way
absolutely.
it turns up.
So I'm trying to think of being able to speak with the judge and tell him we haven't made a decision on that building, there's complications, but if you want to go forward with a grant, we expected the spirit of the board was that we will have you do that.
Take every grant we can get. All right, so I think it's all department heads. Oh, Tracy.
He said Green Street will be moving once they get material and we need to get money for the job.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm gonna be on tomorrow from Hunt. More specifics of what that will be.
Okay.
So we still have your joke for a little week or so.
Yeah, no, I can drive over it for the day. And,
You do the discharge of mortgage.
sure, discharge of mortgage for 105K.
And the amount of mortgage, original mortgage was $14,174.44. This was for Charlie Lohmeyer, and the property was located at 105 Page Street. It's about paid up, he just needs to discharge mortgage and he takes over to the county and gets it released.
And I move we discharge the mortgage for Charles Lohmeyer at 105 Page Street in the amount of $14,174.44.
Second.
Any discussion? Going on that, Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes,
Ron,
Yes.
and yes. Should we do the code officer? This is our next only real thing on the agenda. Hire a full-time code officer, so we have an applicant Jeff has brought to us. Actually, Michael. This is his name.
Michael Knapp?
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
Michael Knapp is his name.
Michael Knapp. It's up to you guys. Rusty?
I don't know who knows what about this gentleman, I'll fill you in on it if you don't know.
I don't know anything besides the application.
Mr. Knapp is 63 years old, he's a lifetime village resident. He was on the village board a number of years ago. He's worked in construction type things for most of his life. He works presently in Binghamton. Can't remember his exact title, but he works with, he's worked with code, not in code, for decades, and has certainly worked closely with them in Binghamton. I believe he's extremely knowledgeable. He does not have any accreditation, whatever that word is. And so he would need to eventually get the certification courses that he needs for this. He has been in contact, I believe, as with Mr. Souls with the civil service, and he would be hireable now, and then would be required to, when the next civil service test is offered, to take and do what's necessary on the civil service test. Jeff has interviewed him and is extremely pleased with him and recommends his hiring. And the potential salary that Jeff, is that proper meeting to discuss that potential salary that Jeff and Mr. Knapp have potentially agreed to, depending on what we decide to do, is $50,000 a year and that regular benefit package. We certainly need a full-time code officer, we all know that. And also, Jeff says that he has money in the budget to cover this, so there is money available to take care of this. And not that it matters, but we do have the stimulus money, which may or may not be available for this, but that is money. So if we have other things that we would normally pay, we can have the stimulus money, then we would have extra money for potential something like this. That's the deal. I really like this. So I'm going to make a motion that we hire Mr. Knapp as full-time code officer under the conditions that we outlined at a rate of $52,000 a year.
I'll second.
Would you like the even numbers?
That's $1,000 a week, and boy, do I like those even numbers.
$100 a week we get.
I know.
So, just, I think to be clear, because he has to get certifications, then he has to take the civil service test. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he has 18 months to get the certifications, the civil service test comes along as it does, so.
Civil service has already approved that he meets the minimum qualifications.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think his appointment would be as a provisional
Provisional.
employee.
Yeah, it would be provisional.
Right. So just,
I use that word, but I'm sure I did. Didn't I get it? Yeah.
You said permanent, no.
You could
It's
use
just a mumble, it sounded like how it was provisional.
so,
prior contingent on passing the CEO.
but I mean, but his employment will be provisional. There will need to be, if he passes everything that he's supposed to do, a permanent appointment at the time when he qualifies.
And I seconded that.
She heard me say provisional.
Any discussion? Doesn't weigh in here, I'll put in trustee Morton's comments, so he just wishes we could have somebody with previous code enforcement experience, but don't have anybody who applies, so.
Perfect.
Right, it'd be nice.
Just kind of looking, we got anybody interested? in it?
Yeah.
I think we'll be very pleased with this gentleman, and I want to tell you what, there's no reason to do this for $50,000.
No, code enforcement's a rough gig.
They're begging for them everywhere.
Gotta be a local guy who loves to do it. It's-
Right.
No, I mean, his experience.
Right.
He was a trustee, so he's got that now.
I had asked him if he was interested in part-time for the 30-ish that we paid the other gentleman, but that was not.
Probably glad he's gonna leave his
He
job.
needed it.
Yeah.
We do?
No, I would say
Yeah.
with his experience in the construction trades over so many years, he's acquainted with code.
He's excellent.
All right, so we'll vote on that, and the motion is second, Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes,
Ron,
Yes.
and yes.
So when does it start?
I think he said 2 weeks.
He does have to
Okay, Fran, give
leave
me
his
those.
other job.
Didn't make it hard, I don't know.
Do we wanna? Do we need to say when he starts or?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to think,
As soon as he's available.
yeah, I think that would be the way to go. Because we need a code officer.
Yeah.
When he starts at
as soon as
Jeff Sol's discretion anytime after.
Sometimes you give somebody 2 weeks and they say, no, you're done today.
That's true. And
Move that he starts anytime after today at Jeff Sol's discretion.
as soon as he's available.
Is that the motion for that?
That was.
No, I think
That was part of the motion.
That
It was right after you said provision.
Yeah, thank you.
all right, next thing, minutes of 7/19/2021.
I noticed a bunch of things to make little corrections. I thought Fran had noticed it, and maybe Ron has too,
So
so.
let's just wait till next time.
Okay.
What was it, I just was curious, you said you voted no on something?
There's a few things,
Just tell me when you said no. The only one I remember
Let's see.
You voted no on the tree.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's,
I voted no on the tree one, but the one, there's one that said I voted no on, choosing your cheese, yeah.
And what?
Choosing your cheese appointment. I voted yes on that.
And what was?
she voted yes.
Oh, you
Planning board.
made the motion.
Yeah, but I didn't vote no.
Okay, well, how about you send me all those, we'll fix them.
Yeah, there was a few.
All right, I'm good. I can't, I have my ears plugged.
Okay.
But I'm a little,
So we'll move that to the next meeting.
next week, okay.
Okay.
Corrections. Next thing, payment of bills.
Can I ask a question about the,
Well, I had
Oh.
another comment on the minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
In the reporting under the cemetery committee, I had presented to the board members a suggestion on, setting up a parking area there in the cemetery. I didn't ask for a vote, but I wanted to make sure that is noted in there that
it's right above
the
that
board
motion.
reviewed that.
Wasn't it in?
Yeah, it's
No,
above
it's
that
not.
motion.
Huh?
It's above that motion, I have it right here.
What's it say?
So they presented a drawing of possible future parking at Evergreen Cemetery, and there's a problem with potholes in the cemetery that need to be repaired. So, it's-
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I missed it.
I mean, if
Sorry,
I forget, that's one thing, but I think I did that.
all right,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Wanted to make sure the tree cutting service from Shannick, it says 1/2 up front, that is 1/2 at half completion.
Right.
I want to make sure they didn't get the
No,
this message.
he's not getting anything to.
Okay.
That needs to be changed, it was half,
Yeah.
That's fine.
halfway through, you would bill us.
has he started, is he done?
Can I,
John has talked with him, you're going up
I
tomorrow.
met with them this morning up at the cemetery. We put the caution tape around all the trees and he is starting Wednesday morning. They're cutting down, there's a total of 17 trees. And then I guess there's been talk about extending that to include more, which there are lots more up there. But the 17 worst ones he will be starting on those Wednesday morning.
And we wanted him to, we don't know him, and no one knew him, and so we wanted to see his work before we decided to go further.
Yes, before you
That's
decide to go further,
Yeah.
yeah, because he wanted the third at the beginning, and I said, talk to God, or I talked to,
Halfway
and they
through.
said, we're not gonna do that, and I said, well, they're not gonna do that, and he said, that's fine. We'll take half when he's halfway done, and then the rest at the end, and then I've been telling them, you do a good job, there's the potential for, so, yeah.
The rest of the trees, yeah.
You available to be around when he's doing, just setting up.
I can be, I think Wednesday morning, I can get up there, and I'll keep an eye on it. I usually drive through there a couple times a week anyway, so I'll keep Fran updated, keep you guys updated, so.
Would you try not to hit the gate again?
No, I mean, that's up to Jeff if he wants to send one of his crew up there also.
Well, he normally has guys up there.
Right. And they're doing a good job, I should say. I know Dave Thompson's doing a great job with the mowing up there. It's not easy, and, you know, the committee's doing pretty good up there. We could use 2 more committee members to actually be on the committee. If you guys know anybody, Steve Lukova and Peter Gordon had stepped down. We haven't been able to get anybody out, preferably younger than, but, so.
Okay.
But I will keep an eye on it, so.
Yeah, so send those over to the office, we'll fix them up. What's really good?
Anything else about the minutes?
Oh, they don't.
All right, so we'll have the payment of bills, did we get it? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. There's a sales one that really stuck out at $2,000, and the rest are like 20, 30, 60. 36733. I couldn't tell if it was Hyde Park or the restroom. It looks like it might be the restroom, but I didn't understand the huge spike.
It's probably Hyde Park, they have one they had the leak. and-
Well, that was Martin Park.
Martin Park.
Oh, Hyde Park, could be Hyde Park, could be Martin.
What page are you on?
Page 11 to 16. It's the second one up from the bottom. combination of all of our restrooms in the whole village, it seems like a pretty steep.
Yeah, that must be from that leak at Farmer Park, right?
We thought that at first, but it says Hyde Park.
Well, no, it says,
Where'd you say,
Underneath.
it's underneath, it just says
Oh, it's
three oh
on the
four
lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CCF
It
restroom.
was probably the restroom,
Yeah,
that's a month's worth of restroom, $2,000.
yeah, I think it was the Hyde Park leak, the leak
Martin
situation.
Store.
Yeah, they just got that.
Does
Is that the
sewage-
water bill for the, hydrant for the hose racing?
No,
No?
that doesn't come.
So they had the monster leak, and it was a giant leak in Marvin Park.
Yeah.
And we should petition Suez to forgive that.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the only thing I saw in
It's way out of whack. I mean, the rest are
Well, I'll
10
make a note.
CCFs, 3 CCFs.
Do we know anybody over there at Suez that we could talk to?
What does CCF stand for? Because that's in a lot of things.
Cubic.
Talcott Street, Temple,
Yeah,
North
that's
Ave.
their volume of water, cubic. I
Okay,
forget what the
okay.
C is.
So
It is a cubic foot.
one random
Yeah, but what's the
restroom
second C?
Used to work there.
for
I
a
didn't know
month.
if this was like the public restroom in the Gateway building. I don't know
No,
what
that's
that is.
not.
I think it's
No, we don't,
That's
we
not-
don't do anything with that.
cento cubic.
Cento. But yeah, that's the unit of water, volume of water.
That's a big skew.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
304.
It's
That's
a
huge.
leak.
Yeah, I looked it up, it's like 8 CCFs, and then this one is like 304.
I don't know anything, I'm pretty sure it's.
But I would like to at least pull that one out.
Yeah.
pay the
Pay
rest.
all the bills besides that,
Right.
dig into
Question
that.
that one?
Pretty good with the rest of them.
I didn't catch that one, so big catch around.
Move to accept the treasurer's report minus
Payment,
payment.
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 Wait a minute.
I second.
There. Rusty.
Is this
Goes over.
trustees?
Goes over.
Oh, yes.
Hold on,
Laura,
payment,
I'm only half here.
Yes.
Fran,
yes.
Ron,
Yes.
and yes. Now we'll do trustee reports. Rusty?
I don't want to step on Laura's stuff, but I'm gonna a little bit. At the zoning board of appeals meeting, there were only 2 people there. It looks like um, 2 of the people that were on there moved away. So we need 2 more people on the zoning board of appeals. The mayor has
You
people.
can do that?
No.
I wrote this down on my notes too.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Because they had called me today about
yeah, they moved away, they vacated their seat by becoming ineligible for the office anyway, so you can appoint.
So we don't have to take any action at all.
No, yeah, they have made themselves ineligible simply by moving out of the village.
what's the requirement, you gotta let them.
It has to.
Who is it that's gone?
Sherry and.
Joe's was Zelinski, and Jim Bell.
As far as I know, they won't move away.
We know where they.
Cheryl's in Carolina, Jim might be in Florida.
Yeah, so there's.
No, they moved-
Plausible
they moved
intent. No, they're very
They
young.
moved that way. Went to Florida.
Yeah, they didn't go to the festival.
Okay.
Oh, they did move to town.
Right.
So I just bring that up because, if you know people that have interest, you should bring it to the board of the mayor and suggest some names.
So do we know if, so Leanne called me today because Meg told her that neither the planning board or the zoning board met. But I thought that was not true. I thought the planning board met, the zoning board met, but didn't have a forum.
The planning board met, once again, I'm taking your spot.
Okay.
The planning board met and had all 5 members there and voted on their various things. They voted to the seeker and for the DMV.
Move the planning board member to the zoning board. I mean, at least then you have hopefully a forum for the ZBA, you'd be short a planning board member, but you only need 3. I mean.
Yeah, that's a thought, but that, you
It's
wouldn't want to bet that 5 always show up for that planning board.
It's not a deal.
she also asked if we could have one of your staff available when the zoning board meetings.
She,
Make sure they do the right thing.
there was, when I came, I mean, I've just been looking at my emails from last, I got back from around like 4 o'clock. So Elaine did send me an email asking if somebody from my office could be there, but there was an attorney at the office.
Who's it?
Was Elaine or Leanna at that meeting?
No, she wasn't in the other one. I was at both of them.
Okay.
So she's
I'm sorry, I jumped
just
in.
asking,
I just got
to make sure it's a request.
And I told you that normally, or somebody is.
Yeah, when we will definitely be attending, I think we had somebody at most of all the meetings, it was on board.
If you get notified, yeah.
If we get noticed, that's
Yeah,
right.
exactly, show up.
Since they
Yeah,
don't-
it's important.
Since they don't really have a meeting or can't quorum.
So when I didn't get, the news about it, Main Street didn't get minutes.
Right.
So that's another big thing.
So I guess we gotta look for it better.
Yeah. So they, they do know they need to do it, but they, need to have somebody do it at the time.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
So the planning board, Julie offered to take the minutes and Christina said, no, I'm going to take them. So I'm just telling you how that all went, this idea that nobody wanted to or whatever, so at least that's what happened.
And, she needs to do it within, 48 hours to get them in.
Right.
I'm just telling you what I know. So that's why, there wasn't that nobody was gonna do the meeting.
People are calling back and she didn't have the information, so she assumed they didn't meet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that things coming through the pipeline will have to be done properly.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, there's been many training sessions available, and they includes everybody around, and let them know when they do, announce them when we come around, but, yeah, they're just not taking it seriously.
part of the concern was that the Magnus didn't have time to do that. Isn't that what, I seem to remember kept saying that
He came
the
to,
last meeting, that
Last meeting,
they
the meeting
did not
before.
have time to do this, and they needed somebody else.
Right.
But I just find it interesting that somebody else would have been confused.
Apparently, they had a template to do meetings, it's just kind of fill them, but they won't do it. It's not that they can't do it.
Like, they're gonna alleviate this before it becomes a big problem.
well, right, I guess that was Leanne's concern.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff on, so.
And a couple people I was gonna talk to about the zoning,
Okay.
like in the past and mentioned things, so maybe set up talk to them. So,
Cause I know there was a sign that took like 7 months to get a corner.
Hmm.
It was just a stupid little sign, so.
there's a project over here in Master, and I don't know if anybody's ever done the paperwork for it. I got approved. And also vet clinic on the south side. And so, yeah, I think there's just paperwork that's not getting done.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot more coming, so.
Yeah, so it's really good that we have a code enforcement officer coming in, and it'll help. Because a lot of the planning and zoning is like, Meg's part-time, and she just puts together this, but Jeff and Meg are doing a lot of stuff for the other office, and so they're doing an awful lot of work for other departments.
So I'm gonna finish up. Did we, no, you're fine. I took your stuff anyway. So did we talk about, casually about the fact that Meg is overwhelmed and that she needed help and they need help with paperwork on code? Now that we have a full-time and a part-time guy, that should help significantly on paperwork, but still, we were talking about, we want to keep it in the back of our brains that we may need to hire somebody part-time to be secretarial type paperwork for the code. I'm not saying we're ready to do that today, but we want to continue to
Yeah,
pay attention to that. We may have to be thinking about that.
it's a big job.
Okay.
And the paperwork is a lot of it.
That's everything I got.
Laura?
Want to steal my stuff?
So yeah, that was the planning and the zoning board, the planning board met. And that got approved, that was on the budget.
That was the Home Central project, right?
Yeah. the parking variance application. OHPC is meeting on the 5th. We have a few things up.
What, where, here at?
OHPC will be meeting here at 7 on Thursday. Yeah. That's it for me.
I think Leanne said she tried to call you about planning and zoning board too, so. She called me today, so.
I've got questions for her too. Oh yeah, you know, they sent out a paper, you know, like it was pretty, yeah, it's like just a comparison sheet, little red and green and stuff, analysis of numbers.
Anybody got
It's
one?
just cheap.
Yeah, my email.
Yeah.
Comparison sheet about what?
It's just
You missed
another
it.
presentation of the pilot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. I don't know, it was silly.
Well, she wrote an email and this, well, no, I had talked, come on, you take a look. Okay. I had talked with her, about, working with their grants. And, while I was on the phone, she said to me, she was very disappointed that, because she read that the, village board disapproved of the Liberty Street, and all this. I said, no, we did not. I said, we're not against the project. We voted not to accept the pilot.
right. So I told her the same thing.
We're not against the development.
The headline of the paper made it look like they hated the whole thing. And I don't know why the headlines are doing that, but the headline doesn't match the
Sensationalism.
article. Because if you read the article is correct. But the headline, if you just pick the paper and read the headline, it's got a different message.
Votes down the project.
Right. Just like the headline after our last meeting was, we applied for a grant for the village office, and it actually was a police station. But when you read the article, it said 90 Thomas Street.
I guess it's technically a village office.
I guess.
Yes.
So I guess all I can say to the public is read the articles.
Just was, I think $1,000 off, we get 6,700 instead of 57.
Right.
Or 55, whatever the heck it was. Yeah, it was an insult, honestly. It was splitting hairs.
Yeah. So anyway, we're your trustee reports, right? Yeah. I think we're on there.
Laura's on a roll. Anything else?
If you want, I got it on my computer.
Like, they whenever we asked for info, they supply stuff, but it wasn't exactly an answer.
Right.
It was an answer, but not to what
We
they
should have the seat
were
communication.
saying. Yeah,
That's true.
so I don't know, I just think not pleased with their communications about that project. in particular.
She did say they're gonna start, what she meant by it, but advertising project, I guess publicly. So maybe we'll see more information about it.
You couldn't even find a virtual meeting anywhere.
Right.
Anyway.
Anything else, Laura?
I was wondering about if Design Connects.
No, I haven't got it.
Final project.
I think we're gonna, it's on my to-do list.
And then the hunt contract for the DRM.
So I saw Tim at the golf course last week.
I talked with Ted last week. What day was that?
I remember it was the same day, because we talked to you about that day.
Must have been Thursday.
That'd be the day.
Thursday at 3:30, he and I talked, had a good conversation.
So, yeah,
Yeah, the gist of it is, he understands the village's, I think the primary concern is just the cost, the potential cost for architectural engineering services if things, oh God knows what happens. We want to make sure that at least the contract covers all the things that we need to get done and are reasonably expected for this type of project, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where suddenly you're getting charged for mileage that you didn't realize, or, you know, hourly bills for that type of thing. So he told me he was going to be tweaking the language a bit just to make it very clear that that's the idea. He'll be providing some additional information just about the things that they're actually going to be doing, because it's pretty generic right now, just the way that the contract reads, which is typical. But he'll give some more specificity so that way you can see, okay, here's the things that they're saying they're actually going to be doing, so that way you know. And if something's not listed, basically, and we need it for them, we'd say, well, did you expect to be doing this? Because if so, then we're not going to take more for it. But if it's really unexpected, then you might expect it. So he hoped to give me an updated contracts in time for the board to review tonight. I don't believe that he has. So I think that we'll have this wrapped up by the next village board meeting. Is that be my expectation? And certainly he and I will talk between now and then just so I can make sure wherever this contract is. And then worst case scenario, the village board could approve at the next board meeting, subject to legal review and approval about these last, the wording changes.
Okay,
I don't prefer that.
my comment on that is we need to get rolling on this, because we're getting emails from the Department of State asking why we haven't spent the money.
Because you didn't give it to us for 2 years.
We haven't really been managing it for us yet, that's why.
Right. We're on our bills, because we haven't hired anybody.
That's
So, but anyway, the Department of State's starting to be like, you gotta do something?
Just the fire station has had anything done that could be submitted, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, but they needed repairs and stuff, that was all okay to include in the grant.
Yeah, we can, we get the paperwork.
I don't know what it costs.
Which is something that probably typically
Well,
helps us
they need to
out.
prepare that paperwork for us to get it submitted.
Temporary.
Yeah.
I mean, the contract will be ready, it better be ready for approval by the next board meeting. I don't have any reason to think it won't be.
Right. Well, it needs to be before that, so we can review it and then hopefully do whatever with it.
Yeah, it's largely going to be the same version as last time with some updated tweaks, like minor revisions.
Will the keys be a nice colored palette, so I don't read the 2 versions?
We will try. The AIA document format isn't as conducive to nice, clean red line changes like that.
Definitely much easier when you do that.
Yeah,
Try to remember back to.
I'll ask Tim to highlight the changes.
Thank you.
And I know Hunt would like to get it done because they want to get all the design done this year to send everything out as one package to bid to start next year. Because if we bid it as one package, we'll get a better deal, because somebody will get a bigger project rather than 6 or 7 little projects.
Thank you, we're looking at spring earliest.
For construction, yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty impressive to have them do all the design by Christmas.
That's the nice piece about the project, though. It's not a new building. You know,
Yeah, there's no new buildings, it's mostly landscape and stuff, so. Right.
I do have a question about that. If we don't get a final, are you gonna give us our $500 back? But they didn't complete their occupation.
I'll check
It's
with that.
$500, but whatever, like, you didn't fulfill what you said you were going to, you kind of just left us hanging.
I'll check with Abby, I don't know if the final thing was those 3 pictures they showed us, or
But they asked
not.
for input and just left.
Right,
I thought it was highly unprofessional.
so I'll get with Abby, maybe, and see if she can join our next meeting and present whatever they did.
And we do the streetlights across the river this year. What's the big deal with that?
Nothing, other than schooling on all.
What's that?
Nothing on the school and all up.
I know.
We gotta make sure we do it right with the NWDEs. and-
No, I understand. Have few projects to get started.
That's when I talk with Tim, that's one of the main reasons to include as much as we can in one contract, because for each individual project, to meet the 30% setback, or not, but the set aside is very hard if it's all in just like a lighting contract. There's no lighting MWBT contractor, so you have to go through the whole process just for that.
I get it.
Because me and Nate and Julie Sweet from Drummers did have a meeting with Tim and said there's some easy projects, but they want to bundle them together for
That makes sense.
the paperwork in it.
The paperwork gets easier, the bigger our project is, probably.
I get hot. I think we're still more on the rate.
So in other words, we need to hire a general contractor who will set up the subcontracts.
Right, which is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
They'll coordinate all that, basically.
Will Hunt be the general
No,
contractor?
they'll be our,
But they were just the
Architecture.
engineer.
they are, but they coordinate. They're doing that, the other contract is for grant administration. So they kind of run the whole.
Okay.
Make sure we have all the right mix of stuff.
Yeah.
So we check all the boxes on the grants. When we get the money, that's the big thing. We don't check the boxes, we don't get the money.
Yeah.
Ron?
One of my neighbors had approached me about the houses that are falling apart on Spencer and Chestnut, and wondering what was going on with those. Will be land bank property soon, or? The one that was vandalized last year with all the windows broken out, has foundation issues. I guess the one next to it does as well. And I don't know where they're at, if they have to pay taxes. I just don't know what we're into it.
The way, we can look into it, but the way the land bank thing works in general is they have to go up for taxes, which takes 3 years of not paying taxes. And then the county takes them, and the county gives them to the land bank. But the land bank has to accept them, because it costs the land bank $20,000 to $30,000 a house to knock them down. And the land bank is a county-wide thing, so they only take so many houses a year over the whole county.
His direct question was, what's gonna happen when the foundation craves and they all fall down on their own? How do we do it? This is legit what he asked.
That's a good question.
That's a question that every municipal entity struggles with, because it costs money to demolish and remove it. It's technically, not even technically, it is legally the property owner's obligation to remove an unsafe structure. You know, so if the foundation is unsafe, it's on the property owner to fix it or remove it. If the village could try to prosecute, sounds like successfully, the property owner, but then you get fines. The fines aren't gonna cover the cost of the village going in to demolish something. Some places have an active demolition schedule, you know, they set aside 20 or 30,000 a year and do one house a year and just try to chip away at it.
I foresee it falling into the same issue that one in Chestnut did, we finally got it turned down, with people breaking in and doing that, and wood in there. And the potential is definitely, I don't know if people are or not, going to abandoned buildings.
You're right.
And the other question I have is, who owns the vacant lot in Chestnut that the house was knocked down? Because that is really quite overgrown, roadside, I don't know if the county own that, or if we own that.
I don't know if the land bank sold that or not. So the process is the land bank knocks them down, fills them, not fills them, but makes them whatever. Yeah. That's a dirt back where the house was. And then they attempt to sell the lot, either to the neighbors or to somebody else. I think they sold that one.
And that I don't know. I was just wondering, I know there's a couple houses on the street that are quite
Right.
overgrown.
Yeah, you can look at that. Real property.
That's all I got.
Code enforcement should help with that too.
Yeah. This is stupid.
Chestnut.
It was 115 or 117 the county stole.
What numbers?
115, 117 county stole.
Can't remember. Oh, you just look it up.
I just looked it up.
Is that White House that was knocked down, Mike?
Yeah,
So if the land bank owns them, Jeff has an agreement with them to mow. So if they look like a hayfield, it's,
I don't care about lots of little big trees or I don't know, it's just up on the street side and right away and all that good stuff.
I know he was going around mowing a bunch of them a couple of weeks ago.
But I did my due diligence for my constituents. They were kind of pushed through that.
Perfect. Brad?
One thing that, Robin didn't cover is, for the EMS is the hiring committee for this new, ambulance person. And she had been told that, hiring committee would be, myself and Ron and somebody else.
Yeah, so we have.
But, I mean, how do those people know what to question these applicants about? I mean, anyway, I would like to recommend that, Sonia and Robin be on that, hiring committee, so they know the right questions and
Well, Robin
answers they
definitely-
find from the applicants.
Yeah, Robin definitely would be.
Like with Tracy, I trust his judgment. Tracy, you do the interview. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to sit in with you. But I trust Tracy wholeheartedly to hire his own guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I handle that. And I am on the personnel committee. If you'd like me there, I would be more than happy to be there. But I don't want to micromanage every little aspect of this.
Okay, wait a minute, so you're the hiring committee?
I am
or-
on the personnel committee. I'm the commissioner of personnel.
We set it up at the annual meeting.
I mean, I don't see the point of micromanaging Jeff when he interviews every DPW guy.
Yeah.
And no, I don't see the point. I mean.
No, I
have
don't
the
necessarily have to
credentials.
be there,
I think it's you,
but
Charles.
Robin and Sonia should be there.
Oh, I wouldn't know what questions to ask.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, well, anyway, she was told that,
I would think the department head would be the lead on this. I mean, at least that's the way it is when I treat Tracy that way. He keeps me in the loop. You do what you gotta do. I trust your judgment. If you have any concerns, let me know. I'll be glad to. And that's just me as the sewer commissioner, not the personnel commissioner.
right,
I mean, as you, as the EMS commissioner, I would think you have that ability as well.
We have that written. Personnel committee, and basic guidelines,
So
or.
probably one of the issues with Robin is that she's never had to hire somebody before. This is the first hire, because we've only got two, we had only two full-time positions, so she might need to be walked through what the villages, what their expectations are for the process, just so that she's on the same page as you for how this.
What if somebody walks me through the expectations for the process?
I thought you just walked us through pretty well.
Oh, in that case, you're absolutely.
But yeah, it's mostly Robin who's gonna interview the person, because we don't know EMS questions.
yeah. Well, she said she wanted to have Sonia there too, so that,
Right.
between the two of them, they would know the right questions to ask.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, wow.
With Sonia in your head.
So then, if Robin sets a time to interview someone, what's the procedure for getting hold of everyone?
Sets up the time, right?
She would just interview him, and then obviously she's gonna have to get with you and the personnel committee, and
Are you on the personnel
Okay.
committee also?
I'm not, no, I'm not.
Personnel committee, do they have to attend the interviews?
No.
Oh, all right,
They're the ones who should bring it to the board and say, we
gotcha,
recommend.
okay,
We have the right to be there.
okay, well, yeah, well, Robin didn't understand that. Okay,
They're just a subset of the board, so that
We're like the liaison between the different.
all right,
Charles is on it too.
Yeah, I think it's Ron and Charles. And then it's the department initiative, so it'll be like Fran. So we can have up to 3, but not 4 people.
okay.
Then
All
you
right,
have to
so, the cemetery committee, we went this last week and met with Abby, and talking about grants. And we talked about a number of different projects, and she is going, between her and Elaine Jardine, they're gonna help us apply for, whether we state or federal or local, depending on the type of project. So, we'll be working with her and as we talk about particular grant, you know, to the board. And, the other thing, well, a few other things that the cemetery committee talked about, we had, presented the parking design for up there in the cemetery. But what they would like to do is to go ahead and, if we probably need to bring it back next board meeting to get a final decision, but that what they would like to do is, take some of the wood chips from the trees and fill in those ruts up there at the top and get some fill from the sewer department as far as, you know, seeding that area up there where we don't want people driving. Let's see. I gave John. Give John my copy of the agenda. Well, as he said, the tree service is starting this Wednesday, and yeah, we'll keep tabs on them. Report next 2 weeks as far as what's happening there. And we changed the meeting time for the cemetery committee. We're making it the last Monday of every month so that we can have meeting notes together for me to actually report on to the board. So from here on out, it'll be the last Monday of every month.
Okay.
I think that's all we need to cover tonight.
Communications. Don't have anything. There's another night out there coming up. I think I saw that. It's the same deal. As far as the COVID stuff. We got our first payment of the stimulus money. We gotta figure out how we can use it, how we got it.
So we get
We got 183,000.
108,000.
That's a half. They give you half and they give you half
Right.
a year later, so it's like 300 and some thousand.
Solar panels, wastewater treatment plant. Cut your electricity bill.
Make sure you don't make it clear how to spend the money.
Well,
Have it out there.
Well,
there's a webinar.
look in here.
I think it's tomorrow.
It's very,
Right?
very
Yeah.
limited ways you can spend it. It's what they said at NICOM is document.
Right.
Don't, keep a
There's a
ledger
webinar
of
thing.
all the ways you
I
spend.
think this
You
year.
can have to fill out a formal report
You gotta find out
at the end.
what somebody else has done. successfully.
There's a webinar thing coming up on that topic soon that Cindy's gonna watch. Probably gonna-
Yeah, well, and I would recommend everybody read this American Rescue, right in the book.
Right in our magazine.
It's interesting. It's a list of bullets.
Yeah. What do we use it for, right?
Right now, they're just like broad categories,
Yeah.
like sewer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can do roads. We can give bonuses to
You can do bonuses for
personnel who were working at the time.
Right.
We all worked the whole time, didn't we?
That is, yeah, we did.
We can do some, recycle.
You can do, sewer, water projects are there. If you want water.
You already did the sewer.
That's where solar panels and treatment plant. Presumably, it would count as a sewer, and it would reduce your operating costs.
That'd be-
Well, some of them cooperates, but a lot of them don't.
That's true.
Well, and the thing is, anything that we have scheduled for improvements, sewer department, if we already have it in the budget. I mean, and it applies to this then we could take that money from the budget and put it into other things we need for the building.
We're kind of on the creek there, we just redid the whole place.
Yeah, we already did, yeah.
You can bring in leachate, get 2 cents a gallon if you process it.
Yeah, we can
We're
look
gonna
at,
take a bigger thing tomorrow.
we can look at something like that. So I didn't know if you have any other communications that says you got that money. There's a NICOM thing coming up, there's a webinar on the money next week. The fair is next week. Parks,
Where are the dates on that exactly?
10th
Starts
through
Tuesday.
Saturday.
That's Tuesday through 14th, yeah.
There's a ribbon cutting Tuesday. 10:30 maybe?
The Trotter horse races, the Trotter horse races are Monday at 9 in the morning. Assuming they get the corner of the track.
Yeah, they've been working over there.
Yeah,
Fireworks
fireworks
is
is,
a lot of money for.
fireworks is Thursday night.
Learning fireworks.
Demo derby against Milton.
They got a whole schedule. Who's in the fence center? Rusty?
I got a question. Our contract with Mega and Constellation should have run out July 8th.
That's true.
I'm wondering if everybody automatically gets put back in NICEAG as of then. Because your contract was $5.42 per K hour with, in the clean energy from Constellation, we should be back.
They should have.
They sent a letter out. And I said,
Did they, but did people get their bills? Are they back?
I don't know, I ought to have, long time ago, so I don't know.
Because I think NICEAG, it's not the clean energy, but I think they're around 4.5 now instead of
Right.
5.42. Which we do $50. And then I also got letters from Delaware asking to opt into solar.
Yeah.
I don't know who got those and whatever. That's not through the village, that's
No.
through the
That's it. I've heard, when I was driving through the village the other day, listening to Owego, heard a radio advertisement for Delaware River Solar, in which they proudly say the village of Owego is a customer.
Is it a customer? Unless they aren't.
We are.
We are Delaware River, but I thought it was interesting that they're using
Yeah,
their name.
I thought that was interesting too. That-
Yeah, that's a little squeaky about whether you can do that stuff.
$50 get cut from my business and from my house.
Nice.
Next thing, mayor's report, on anything else to say about that?
Mr. Rector,
Public comment?
before,
Oh, before.
probably ought to have 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know how you want, it either needs to be an executive session or we need to have several people review. So, executive session it is.
What's it out?
Personnel,
Matters relating to the employment of a particular person.
yes. It really doesn't, everybody just lets me chatter, it doesn't have to be on a couple minutes.
Still love that.
We have to vote on it.
Going to executive session.
Rusty?
Yeah.
Laura?
yes.
Fran?
Yeah.
Ron?
Yes.
Yes.
It's somebody's.
Ron.
Would,
Let's do public comment.
Probably.
would you have any, here for that or not?
He could, but he could also probably just chat.
Okay. Same amount, because
Yeah.
time long.
It's all tonight.
He says he's
Well,
doing
bedtime, Devin.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah. Got anything?
Right when we're getting good.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Devin.
Brian.
Are you heading over to the hall? Okay.
So I'm gonna use the restroom before I go.
Okay.
I don't think you just want me to keep all the part.
Maybe, I don't know, if you want to just
Well,
stand outside for just a minute, I don't have.
I don't know if I can hand you the,
Dale will tell me what that is.
I think I can hand you the
I've seen your minutes, you guys don't have minutes.
Turn off the live feed.
No, this really shouldn't be very long. This is an update, and it shouldn't be. much of a- Yep, well, it just needs to fill in, so.
Pack that. There it goes up.
we're not gonna have any action after this.
No, I get it.
There'll be no action after the
Other than adjourning the
executive
meeting.
session. After adjournment.
I was hoping it was gonna be before then.
Well,
And,
Ronnie was at the bathroom
to end all
I
the.
can't hear what you said, just saying anyhow.
Yeah, we know this, it's not in the minutes.
and.